As a fan of Final Fantasy, the past 12 to 15 months have been quite ridiculous. Since the start of 2023, we've been on a near non-stop roller coaster. And it's only now that Final Fantasy VII Rebirth has been out for almost 2 months that it's time to relax and reflect on everything that's happened with the channel, while also giving an update on all of our major projects. So, with that in mind, welcome to the State of the Final Fantasy Union 2024 edition. As the channel has continued to grow, and it's crazy that we're now well over 300,000 subscribers, we have continued to diversify the types of content we create. This then speaks to the broader concept of why Final Fantasy Union exists in the first place and why it continues to exist. Each type of content fulfills a specific objective based on how we ourselves feel about Final Fantasy. On the one hand, we want to feel nostalgic and have fun talking with all of you about aspects of Final Fantasy that will never get talked about in this way anywhere else. Then there's the romanticism angle. Even if we may not agree on which amongst the pantheon of Final Fantasy games is our favourite, one thing we can agree on is that for the game or games we hold dear, they need to be celebrated and put on a pedestal, so others are given the ability to explore why they are so beloved through a variety of different lenses. These two angles, nostalgia and romanticism, can be used to describe the lion's share of what we produce, but sometimes it's also necessary to be challenging. We're a passionate fan base, and we've been through a lot of change over the past 30 years. When we do choose to create that type of content, our objective, though, is not to be antagonistic or to rile anyone up. Instead, we try to apply the same methodical approach we do to everything else, as a way of rationalizing how and why people may feel certain ways. In general, though, we feel this all strikes a nice balance, and with so many content creators choosing to call it quits over the past few months due to creation fatigue, we feel this diversification will continue to keep us engaged as creators. You may have noticed that we stopped producing Origins videos and game-related facts videos some time ago. We may still publish the odd one here or there, but the truth is that we stopped enjoying making them and decided to focus our creative efforts on other things instead. It's for this reason that the complete history of Square was also put on hiatus. But as we go deeper into 2024, it's why we will continue with this path. Some concepts may be retired, and others will be introduced. For example, last year, we did an interesting video discussing the canonical lore-based strength of Sephiroth, and we're exploring the creation of a new series called Final Fantasy Explained. This will serve as an offshoot of the Origins videos, where we'll start to explore concepts relating to each game's wider lore and world building. Taking these decisions isn't easy though. Nobody likes to give up on something, and I can often be guilty of overcomplicating and overthinking things. It's those traits that help me to pull together meticulously granular research on niche topics, but it can also be a hindrance. That same mantra can then be applied to asking for support or help. I've racked my brains over the past few years as to how I can make supporting the channel on Patreon as tantalizing as possible. But after speaking to people, it's become quite obvious to me that most people just support us because they like what we do and they want to see us flourish. So I figured, why not just make it simple? However, I do appreciate that not everyone is in a position to help in this manner, and if that's you right now, then feel free to use the timestamps to skip forward to other updates in the video relating to documentaries, events, the book, and other fun initiatives. Just know that we genuinely appreciate the support, no matter how it comes through, and the fact you're even watching this video right now is honestly a big help in itself. So, how are things being made simpler? Well, there will now be just 2 basic tiers. For $3 per month, you will get ad-free versions of every video and early access approximately 3 to 4 days in advance of YouTube. And on that note, the complete evolution of Super Bosses Part 3 is live right now on Patreon, ad-free. Your name will also appear in the credits of every video, and you'll get a special role on Discord, as well as access to our Patreon-exclusive Discord channel and behind-the-scenes updates. For $6 per month, you'll get all of this, plus voting rights, the ability to suggest topics for us to cover on a quarterly basis, and something that has been requested for quite a while now, audio-only versions of each month's long-form video. There will then be one extra tier at the $64 mark for those who want to go the extra mile with their support. They will get the special Onion Night role on Discord, an audio shout out at the end of each video, and quarterly catch-ups with me where we'll discuss thoughts on the channel and life in general if you want. For anyone who already supports on Patreon, you'll automatically gain access to this stuff, but if you want to change tiers, then you're more than welcome to do so. That then segues into what we do with the money, which brings us onto the Final Fantasy Union team. It took us a long time before we realised it was no longer sustainable for Lauren and I to run the channel by ourselves. But thanks to encouragement from the community, we took the leap and hired a video editor. Over the past 2 to 3 years, thanks to your support on Patreon and across the entire channel in general, we've worked hard to build out a team who have strong skills and are passionate about Final Fantasy. As of right now, that means we have 5 freelance writers and 3 freelance video editors, and we work together as a collective unit on everything you see on the channel. To ensure what we've created is sustainable, however, most of my time is spent on researching and writing long-form content, with the rest of the team working on shorter videos based on my direction. It's a collaborative effort though, and it's led to us going through what's probably the most consistent period in terms of output in the history of the channel, without there, hopefully, being any reduction in quality. That then brings us onto the subject of that long-form content though. These videos are a huge passion project for me personally, hence why it's where I spend the bulk of my time, and it's been incredible to see the feedback that they have received over the past few years. With respect to the history of documentaries, from the outset, I decided to take a very different approach from the one typically adopted. Instead of providing a small focus on development history and spending the bulk of my time on critically analysing the subject matter, I wanted to get super deep into that development history and ignore the critical analysis aspect almost altogether. To me, what's interesting isn't so much trying to quantify what is or isn't good game design or storytelling, it's figuring out why that game design or narrative moment existed in the first place. Because when you understand the why, it can make a huge amount of difference in terms of how it's perceived. This approach really seemed to hit home with the history of Final Fantasy XI. I've had so many comments over the years from people who have played Final Fantasy XI, thanking me for detailing why they like the game so much through the lens of how the game was made. The video even ended up winning the Best Media Award from the Final Fantasy XI subreddit in 2019, and this kind of feedback is both incredible and humbling. But even though there are real positives from producing this kind of content, it can also end up being a bit demoralizing and demotivating due to how the creator landscape has been changing. Each of these videos, especially in the very long format that we do now, takes a huge amount of time and effort to produce. And due to how YouTube operates, the return on that investment can be erratic, and that's being generous. We're talking here about videos receiving view counts that can differ by a factor of 5 to 10 times based on how it's perceived by an algorithm. It therefore means a balance needs to be struck. Due to how little progress was made on the complete history of Final Fantasy series last year, with only the first 2 parts published, my objective going into this year was to try and pump out 1 per month to try and get through the franchise in a timely manner. But it's hard to quantify to myself why I should be working myself to the ground to get those videos out on such a regular cadence, when I see the views pale in comparison to other content we're producing that's still enjoyable to produce for different reasons, but takes a lot less time and effort. No matter how you try and avoid it, it leads to mental fatigue. Based on that, episodes of the complete history of Final Fantasy will be released as and when it feels right to do so. For now, it means they'll likely work in rotation with the bigger evolution videos that we've started doing, as they require a load of planning and focus. The evolution of super bosses, for example, is requiring me to study and tie together almost 100 different super bosses. It's pretty intense. My initial thought was that we could get this covered within 3 parts, but it's now looking like it will be 5 parts. Trying to split my brain between that and figuring out why the Famicom version of Final Fantasy IV was cancelled, and the narrative about why Final Fantasy V was required to become Final Fantasy IV, can get a bit much. Needless to say, my current plan is to produce 1 long-form piece of content per month. Sometimes there may be more or less than that depending on how I'm feeling in that moment and what's happening in the rest of our lives, but that's the aim. The other major initiative we worked on this year, outside of everything relating to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, was an event that was hosted in London on the 10th of February. Lauren and I had been talking about creating a new event for some time, and we were emboldened to do so after speaking to many of our UK-based community throughout 2023. There just seemed to be a real desire for a more intimate event where people could hang out, have a good time, and perhaps most importantly, make some new friends. The concept we came up with was a ridiculously huge pub quiz that would challenge everyone's knowledge in unexpected ways. And people would make friends by working together with their party. To ensure it was a special night for everyone involved, I was supported by the fabulous Ben Starr as co-host, and each party was given an illustrious leader. And what a selection of party leaders we had. Fellow YouTubers Alex McCullough and the Nightscope Prince flew over from their respective countries. We had numerous Final Fantasy XIV, 16 and 7 Rebirth voice actors, and we had some fantastic industry professionals in the form of Holly Bennett, Aoife Wilson and Rosie Caddick. Behind the scenes, not everything went to plan on the night, and we ended up running over our estimated showtime by 2 hours, but it didn't seem to matter, as while I was running around like a headless chicken and desperately trying to tally up everyone's scores, everyone else was having an absolute blast. Post-event feedback was overwhelmingly positive. When we asked people to rate the event out of 5, we ended up with an overall score of 4.95 or 98.9%. And some of the feedback comments were absolutely heartwarming. The most frequent one though was, "When's the next event happening?" Well, I'm happy to reveal that we are planning to host a new event before the end of the year, and we're looking to announce more plans in the coming weeks. In terms of other initiatives we're working on, well, there is of course the next book. As revealed towards the end of last year, this will take a comprehensive look at the summons that have been enriching Final Fantasy games since Final Fantasy III. I'm still progressing at a steady pace here, and will be hoping to share more specifics in the coming months, including the name of the book and who else will be contributing. Kingdom Hearts Union is also planning to really kick into gear from this point. With hindsight, it perhaps wasn't the best idea to relaunch on the eve of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth releasing, but we've just put out our second video of the year and have more in the pipeline. Our objective is to release one video per month from this point forward, before gradually building up over time so we don't burn ourselves out. We're also exploring the possibility of returning to podcasting in some shape or form. We aren't 100% on what format this will manifest in, but please feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below with regards to what you'd like to see from us in this particular area. Again though, if you like what we're doing and want to support the channel, get ad-free videos early, and even gain audio-only versions of our long-form content, head to patreon.com/ffunion and pledge whatever you're comfortable with. Alternatively, if you'd like to support us here on YouTube, hit that join button and you'll get your name in the credits and some Discord perks. Thank you for your time, and I'll see you all again soon for more Final Fantasy goodness.